Hello my friends out there in Dragon Blogger land. This is your friend Iggy back again with Dragon Blogger. So today I'm going to build for you a complete PC inside of the Cougar Panzer case. Sweet looking case. I've already done an unboxing and an overview and kind of shown you everything inside the case, the build and all that good stuff. I might have missed one or two things, but hopefully I'll be able to take care of all that for you, not only in this video but in the written review. So this is my entire build. This is my personal PC. Every time I do one of these builds, I take my PC apart and I put it together here for you in a case. So this is my gaming PC, but I also do my video editing and my pictures and all that good stuff on this PC. A good gaming PC is an awesome everything else PC. It can do a lot, if not all, of the workstation tasks. It can do video editing, photography. It can do, of course, gaming. It can do simple web browsing, but one PC to do it all. But anyway, I'm going to start off the video inserting the CPU onto the motherboard, and then also showing you guys how to install the RAM, and then how to install the motherboard into the case, and then of course everything else that comes with the PC. But anyway, all my parts and my everything are in the description below. Please of course click like, and of course subscribe to Dragon Blogger. But anyway, let's get started real quick. Come over here and let me show you how to get started. Here is the EVGA X99 classified motherboard, and in it today I will be installing the Intel Core i7-5930K processor. Alright, one thing to mention, when handling a processor, do not touch these gold contacts down here. The grease from your fingertips might mess up the way it connects and all that good stuff, and you definitely don't want that to happen. So first off, what you're going to want to do is release these little levers so that you can actually install the CPU, because right now it's not going to fit in there. So let me zoom in a little closer so I give you a better view. Alright, so here we are. The way you insert these is going to be different on the different types of CPUs, but in this case I'm going to show you socket 2011, the V3. Okay, so here first off you're going to see a little lock right over here, pointing right here. So to unlock that, we're going to push this down and push it towards the CPU socket. Okay, and you'll notice that released that. I'll do it again. Okay, and raise it. Okay, that raised that a little bit. Now on this 2011 socket, it's a bigger processor than most, so it has two little levers. So then here, same thing, just push in towards and lift. Now this one is a little bit different. So you're going to see this raises this little bridge right over here, which releases the retention mechanism. So you're going to see this rise. Okay, so now that raised up a little tiny bit, but now so that we don't have to bend these pins, which you do have to be very careful. If you bend one of these pins, any one of those pins, your warranty is gone on the motherboard. No motherboard manufacturer will honor a warranty with a bent pin, so just be very careful. There are ways to potentially unbend the pin, but better to not touch them at all. So I'm just going to raise this out of the way. That releases this guy here, so that I don't by mistake touch one of those pins. I'm going to raise this. You see how that raises the entire retention mechanism? Now I'm going to lift this. Okay, so that raises and exposes the entire CPU socket. Okay, so now you can't just put this any which way. Okay, so you're going to notice, okay, you're going to notice there's a little arrow right over here. Then there's a little arrow right over here. Let me move the board a little bit so you can see it better. Yeah, right there. Okay, there's a little arrow right here. Okay, So again, every board's going to be different, but now you could just simply drop it in there. Okay, one other thing to mention, if you'll notice right here, right there, and right there, there's a little notch. Those little notches match right here, right here, right here, and right here. That'll help you install things aside from that arrow. So now I'm going to match this arrow with this arrow and simply drop it in. Okay, now just to make sure it's properly seated, I'm just going to wiggle it a little bit. Okay, it's perfect. So now I just drop this. Okay, now I'm gonna close it in the reverse order. If you remember, I first raised this one right here, and then I raised this one. But now to lock it, so that's gonna clamp down on the processor. Clamp down, push down, push, whoops. It happens. So push down, push towards the CPU socket and in so that it locks right back in here. And then the same thing right down here. All right, that processor's not going anywhere. All right, so now let's get a little closer and I'm going to show you how to install RAM. All right, so now we're going to install the RAM. This particular RAM is going to be the HyperX Predator DDR4 3000 megahertz. All right, so let me just show you, and on this particular board, this is slot 1, 2, 3, 4, then this is 8, 7, 6, 5. You want to look in your motherboard manual to see exactly how to install the RAM in your motherboard, because if you install it incorrectly, your PC won't turn on or your memory might not be recognized. Aside from that, let's zoom in a little closer so you can see exactly how to do this. Here is the DDR4 slot, this entire guy right over here, and these little notches right over here, they hold down your memory. When you clamp them together, they're going to go right in here and just hold your memory in place. So now what we need to do is just push it down that way and push this one out this way. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and install the first one. So I'm going to do it incorrectly the first time so that you can see how not to do it. So first off, you're going to notice there's a little line right there. Okay, that little line matches right here. All right, that helps you install it correctly. So if I just drop it right in there, that's not going to fit. Okay, so I'm just going to turn the RAM around and drop it right in there and just apply a little pressure. Okay, and you'll notice these little tabs, they went back in place. So I'm just going to pop it out, take the memory out, and do it again for you. Push it in very gently, not incredibly rough. All right, there we go. So we just installed one stick of DDR4. So now I'm gonna go ahead and install all the rest, and I'll do it on video so you guys can see. Okay, now I'm gonna open the tab again here and down here and install my next stick. And then that's the incorrect way, so it won't go in. We'll turn it around, push it down, there we go, clamps in. So now we'll skip one and we'll go to slot 3. Or should I say we'll skip slot 2 and go to slot 3. This is to keep the memory in quad channel. Okay. Okay, there we go. And now we'll install into slot 7. Turn it around. All right, so now we've just installed 16 gigs of RAM. So now the other thing my PC has is liquid cooling. So to get everything in before we actually put it inside the case, just to make things a little easier, we're going to go ahead and install it outside of the case as well. So I'm going to zoom out. Actually, I'll just leave it right there. All right. And I am going to apply some thermal paste. This is Thermal Grizzly high performance cooling solution. I'm going to link this also in the description below. So I'm going to show you how I apply. Everybody basically has a different way. This is the way I've always done it. Right in the center of the CPU, we'll put a glob, maybe about the size of a pea, maybe a little bit smaller. All right. So with this method, now when we push down the cold plate, that's going to go ahead and spread the thermal paste evenly. Okay, so now for my particular liquid cooling, again, you might have a different one, but I have the Arctic Cooling 120 millimeter. So these need these guys, so I'm going to go ahead and just screw these in. These hold the cold plate in place and allow you to screw it in. All right, those are all in there, nice and snug. So now we're going to install the cold plate itself. Now to keep everything looking nice, I have to install it upside down. I hate doing it, but it has to be done. So I just push it down. All right. Now I'm just pushing down just to make sure the thermal paste spreads out. But of course it's going to spread out when I screw these in. So these are just going to lock it in place. Now don't screw them all in place. Like I'm screwing this one, don't screw this one all the way down. Screw this one down a little tiny bit, then screw this one down a little tiny bit, then screw this one down a little tiny bit, and then screw this one down a little tiny bit. And then when they're all there, then you screw them all down. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just screw this one in a little tiny bit just to make sure it's there. And now this one. And finally this one. Okay, and now since these are actually Phillips heads, we can just grab a screwdriver and tighten it up. Again, you don't want a death grip tightening there. Just when it stops, that's it. Okay, so now we'll do this one over here. Again, this helps the paste spread a little evenly as well. Okay, so I have a lot more room to screw it down even tighter, but we don't need to, so you know it's not going to go anywhere. We're good right there. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and install this into the case. All right, so before we can get inside, we need to take off the glass panels. So to do that, just unscrew here, here, and finally here. Okay, now don't freak out. The glass will not fall. So they have a little protection mechanism right here and right here, so that the only way you can remove this side panel is if you have it at a 45-degree angle, then you can pull it out. All right, pretty simple, right? Okay, and now since we're going to be doing some work on the back side, I'll just go ahead and remove those as well. And like the other side, 45-degree angle. Then it just comes right off. All right, so now we're ready to start working inside of this case. All right, so right in here, or should I say, right in here is where the motherboard is going to go. Now, if you had a motherboard, let's say that you installed with a regular air-cooled CPU that didn't require a backplate, right over here later on, if you want a liquid cooling unit, this gives you the ability to not have to take your motherboard out, to just do everything from the back. Because right here, again, is the back of the case. You barely have to do anything back here. Okay? You do all your work right inside of this case. Okay? So back here, you can put in the plate, and then you can put in the liquid cooling, and everything's great. So come over here real quick and let's install the motherboard. So before we can put the motherboard in, this is the case, and back here there's a little cutout. That cutout is for the motherboard I/O shield. The I/O shield just covers the rest of the case so more dust and everything doesn't get in, and that way you can have positive or negative pressure, whatever you choose. So the I/O shield, here are where your USB ports would be. Here's the reset CMOS, more USB ports, 2 Ethernet jacks, and your audio ports. Okay, so the way that this is going to go is inside of the case, you're going to put it this way. Now, it locks in place with these little grooves right here alongside the case itself. So don't get discouraged your first time. It may be incredibly difficult to do it, but just push it back here. Okay, and just pop it through. All right, pretty simple. Again, if it's a brand new I/O shield, it's a little bit more difficult, and especially if it's your first time, it's a little bit more difficult than it was for me. I've done this quite a few times with this I/O shield and all the videos I've done before, and of course my first time, which was in one of the videos too. My first time with this board, should I say. But anyway, so let me zoom out, and let's go ahead and install the motherboard. Okay, so first off, we're going to want to count the number of standoffs that we have already installed on the board, and it already comes with some already installed. One here, 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 and finally here. Okay, they set it up the way most motherboards have it, but in my case, my motherboard has an extra standoff right here, where this one is missing one right over here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is the case itself brings 2 additional standoffs. Okay, these little guys right over here. Now, this case, unlike some others, not all of them does not bring a standoff screw. It makes things a lot easier. So if you don't have a standoff screwdriver, which not everyone does, you can just use, a pair of needle nose pliers. Screw them in by hand first, just to get it in there, and just squeeze it with the needle nose pliers. Okay. Now, a lot of you are going to complain, why are you building your computer standing up? It's the easiest way for me to demonstrate to you how to do it. So get over it. Anyway. So let's get started. Again, let's insert this first. Let me move this out of the way. Okay, we're going to put it right over here. So I'm just going to screw it in. Okay, and just tighten it with my fingers. And now we're going to go in with the needle nose pliers. And again, you don't want to screw it in too much, breaking the threading, but you want to make sure it's solid. I'm lefty, so it's a little bit easier for me with my left hand. Alright, so we're good there. Alright, so then here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 standoffs. So let me show you what my motherboard has. I'm just going to rest it over here real quick.